So let me ask you a question. What if you were offered the one thing humans have dreamed of forever, eternal life, and you just said no? Today, we're diving into two absolutely epic tales from ancient Mesopotamia, a world of gods and monsters, to tackle one of the oldest questions there is. What's our place in the grand scheme of things? Let's get into it.
Okay, so we're looking at two incredible figures here. On one side, you've got Adapa. This guy was so wise, he was practically a god himself, but he lost everything just by doing exactly what he was told. Then, on the other side, you have Anzu, a divine beast who tried to grab the ultimate power for himself and was completely destroyed for it. One played by the rules, the other broke them, and, both ended in tragedy. So first up, let's meet the man whose downfall came not from rebelling, but from being perfectly obedient.
All right, our first story is all about Adapa, and it's a really personal tragedy. It's one of those classic fables about a guy whose greatest strength, his wisdom, his devotion, ends up being the very thing that brings him down. To really get this story, you gotta understand who Adapa was. I mean, he wasn't just any mortal. He was said to have divine blood running through his veins, and people knew him as the wisest man alive. He was the head priest for his personal god Ea in the ancient city of Eridu. His life was all about sacred duty. He baked the ritual bread, he prepared the holy altars, and he even went fishing to make sure the temple had food. He was a model of piety, a total stand-up guy.
But one day, that whole perfect routine just gets shattered. Adapa is out on his boat fishing for the temple when the south wind blows so hard it flips his boat and throws him right into the sea. And in that moment, Adapa, the wisest of men, just loses it. In a fit of pure rage, he screams at the south wind that he's going to break its wing. And then, he actually does it. For 7 straight days, the south wind just stops blowing.
Well, you can't just go around breaking a fundamental force of nature and expect no one to notice. This whole disruption makes its way up to the heavens, and the high god Anu, the ruler of the sky, wants to know what in the world is going on. When he finds out a mortal did this, he is furious. Adapa gets summoned to the celestial court to answer for what he's done. And this right here is where the story takes its tragic turn. Before Adapa goes up to heaven, his own god, Ea, pulls him aside for some advice. He tells him how to charm the gatekeepers, and then he gives him this one critical warning. They're going to offer you the bread of death. Whatever you do, do not eat it. But then something totally unexpected happens. Anu, the high god, is actually impressed by Adapa's wisdom. He has a total change of heart. He decides not to punish Adapa, but to reward him with the bread and water of eternal life. And Adapa, remembering his god's warning, refuses. He turns down immortality, thinking he's saving his own life when he was actually sealing his mortal fate. Just a heartbreaking misunderstanding.
So from that really personal tragedy, we're going to zoom way out to a full-blown cosmic crisis. This is the story of Anzu, a creature whose ambition literally threatened to tear the whole universe apart. Now, Anzu was no mortal. He was a divine bird-like creature. And get this, he was the son of the sky god Anu himself. He had this incredible position of trust as the personal bodyguard to the supreme god Enlil. Anzu's whole job was to guard the entrance to Enlil's private chambers. But you know how it is, being that close to absolute power, it can start to mess with your head. Every day, Anzu watched Enlil go through his sacred rituals, and this deep, burning envy just started to grow. He didn't want to just serve power anymore. He wanted to be power.
And Anzu had his eye on the ultimate prize, the Tablet of Destinies. This thing wasn't just some fancy relic. It was basically the universe's master control panel, the source code for reality. Whoever held this tablet had total authority over everything, the cosmos, humanity, even the other gods. It was the absolute key to power. And one day, Anzu saw his chance. While Enlil was in his bath, totally vulnerable, Anzu swooped in and snatched the Tablet of Destinies. In a single instant, he stripped the most powerful god of all his authority and made himself the master of the universe. With the tablet in his claws, he flew off to a faraway mountain, throwing the heavens into complete chaos and silencing the commands of all the gods. So this theft kicks off an existential crisis. The gods are suddenly powerless. Their orders mean nothing. They had to find a champion, someone strong enough to face Anzu and fix this before the entire cosmos unraveled.
But who could possibly take on a being who's holding the keys to the universe? Anu first asked Adad, the mighty storm god, but he said no. Next, they went to Jera, the terrifying god of fire, hoping he could just burn Anzu out of his mountain fortress. He refused too. Even Shara, the brave son of the war goddess Ishtar, wanted no part of it. One by one, the greatest gods backed down. The divine council was in total despair. Okay, so if no existing god is up for the job, what do? You make a new one. The wise god Ea, yep, the same god from Adapa's story, comes up with a plan. He goes to the great mother goddess, Belit Eli, and asks her to basically engineer a hero for this exact mission. So she creates Ninurta, a champion described as the broad of chest, a warrior literally born for this fight. And Ninurta doesn't even hesitate. He gathers up the 7 evil winds, raises an army, and marches straight for Anzu's fortress. The battle that followed was absolutely ferocious. But with some strategic advice sent by the god Ea, Ninurta found his opening. He let loose an arrow with so much force and precision that it went straight through Anzu's heart and lungs. The rebel was defeated, the tablet of destinies was taken back, and Ninurta was hailed as the hero who saved the gods. So, there we have it. 2 completely different stories. One about a quiet priest, the other about a cosmic rebel. What happens when we put them side by side? What's the lesson they're both trying to teach us? When you actually put these 2 characters next to each other, the contrast is just wow. Adapa's fatal flaw was being too cautious, right? He put misplaced trust in his god's warning. And Anzu's flaw was the exact opposite, pure, unchecked ambition. And look at their defining actions, their perfect mirror images. Adapa refused a gift from the highest god, while Anzu stole a symbol of power from that same god. And the outcomes? Adapa got to live, but he lost his chance to be divine. Anzu was totally destroyed, but his death put the universe back in order. So at the end of the day, both of these stories are really cautionary tales about the same thing, knowing your boundaries. Adapa, the human, was punished for his obedience when he got a little too close to becoming a god. And Anzu, the divine being, was destroyed for his rebellion when he tried to overthrow the gods. Both tales are telling you that there's this rigid cosmic order, and stepping out of your designated lane, whether you do it out of caution or ambition, is going to lead to tragedy. So these ancient myths paint a picture of a universe where both blind obedience and wild rebellion can lead to your ruin. They seem to suggest that the greatest wisdom is just understanding your limits, knowing your place, whether you're a human or a god. And I guess the question for us, all these thousands of years later, is, do we still think that's true?